Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to have you here with me today. Today I am doing one of the most requested videos I have ever had, and today we are talking about how you can cover 80% of QuickBooks in less than half an hour. I'm going to be teaching you how to process sales invoices, how to process purchase invoices, how to deal with expenses, how to reconcile your bank account, how to run profit and loss reports, balance sheet reports, process your mileage, do credit control, see who owes you money, and much, much more. QuickBooks can have such a huge impact for small business owners. It really is incredible. It can make you feel in control of a part of the business that you might not have had control over before. Also, if you're not a small business owner, maybe you are training to be an accountant, understanding QuickBooks and having confidence around using the software can make you really employable in practice. If you don't have QuickBooks already, and if you don't have an accountant already, maybe you are a brand new business owner, you can use the link in the description to this video to book a meeting to talk to me about your accounts today. As accountants, we are QuickBooks certified and we get discounts. We can pass on a discount on QuickBooks to you as part of working with us for your accountancy services. I just wanted to run through 4 things that for the purpose of this video I'm going to assume, but it is important I mention at the beginning. Number 1 is that you have QuickBooks. This is a tutorial on how to use QuickBooks once you are in, not how to set up QuickBooks from scratch. If you want to set up QuickBooks from scratch, you can check out this video, which will teach you how to choose the product and how to get into the software. For the purpose of this video, it is for training purposes. I am using a demo company, it's not real data, and I'm also not going to talk about VAT. If you do want to find out more about VAT and how to code and categorize things in QuickBooks, you can check out this series of videos that I made all about VAT for small business owners. Third assumption is that you've already gone into QuickBooks through the setup process, which QuickBooks very kindly guides you through and makes it super user-friendly, but I'm going to assume that you followed that process and entered the basic information about your company into the back end of QuickBooks. Final assumption is that you have connected your bank account into QuickBooks and there is a bank feed from your bank account into QuickBooks. Don't worry if you haven't, you can check out this video and then come straight back here, back to me. Assumptions, boring bits out of the way. Let's get stuck in, come with me, and we're going to cover off 80% of QuickBooks in less than half an hour. Okay, so let's get stuck straight in. When you log into QuickBooks, this is the screen you will see. This is your dashboard. And this, I've got to say, is one of my favorite things, if not my most favorite thing about everything in QuickBooks. This dashboard for you as a business owner is just chef's kiss. So you can see immediately when you log in what your profit and loss looks like, what your expenses look like, how much you're invoicing, how much of your invoices are overdue, what your bank balances look like, and a visible graph of what your sales look like. I am obsessed with the QuickBooks dashboard, not only because it's giving you all of that information in one place, but also lots and lots of business owners don't become business owners to manage the finances of their business. And so what this does is it translates the numbers into things that you can see, and it feels like you've got a grip on things. So in a pie graph, in a line graph, in a chart, it's showing you visibly what's happening within the numbers, and I love it. You can customize the dashboard. I absolutely love this privacy button. So if I'm a small business owner, I am having my daily or every other day check-in into QuickBooks and somebody walks in, I can go into privacy mode and have a conversation with them, turn back around and carry on exactly where I was. I love that. You can then also customize the date range that you're looking at. So the default on QuickBooks is 30 days. However, if you change these, it will learn and remember what frequency that you like to see, and it will then start putting it in front of you. So if you are a sprint business and you run in 30-day sprints, you need to see what's happening in the last 30 days of your business. You can leave things as they are. If you are a quarterly business or a seasonal business, you want to see what's happening this year. You can change all of that. You can actually have the profit and loss, the expenses and the invoices all reporting on different periods. So you've got everything exactly where you want it. The dashboard is feeding information on and is reporting on information that you have told QuickBooks. So the really important thing to remember is the dashboard will only tell you what you have told QuickBooks. So if as part of your routine, Step 1 is get QuickBooks up to date. Step 2 is review your dashboard. Or if you have an accountant or somebody that's keeping QuickBooks up to date for you, then simply checking your dashboard is absolutely fine. A great way to see how up to date your QuickBooks is just by looking at this dashboard is over here in the bank account section. You can actually see how many transactions there are to review, and as long as you are looking at the dashboard with the understanding that those transactions are not included in what you can see here, we are good to go. Now, as a small business owner, as an accountant, there are 2 key ways that you can run your QuickBooks, and that will depend on how you run your business. So if your business is a cash-based business, you have a physical shop or a stall, and you only make sales when people pay you, and you only spend money by physically spending cash, you can basically run your entire business through QuickBooks by connecting your bank account. If, however, as an example, you run a consultancy business or you are a content creator and you are raising invoices and sending them to brands and maybe there's 30-day payment terms, just focusing on your bank account isn't enough. We need to get into QuickBooks and really understand not only how much you have in the bank account, not only what's come in and gone out of there, but also outside of that, who owes you money, who you owe money to. And so the bank balance, as you can see in both aspects, really is at the heart of the business. But I'm going to kick things off by showing you how to tell QuickBooks that you've made a sale, how to tell QuickBooks that you've been invoiced by somebody, how to process an expense, and then we're going to get to the bank reconciliation. I have, as always, timestamped everything in the description to this video. So if you don't need to know how to raise sales invoices and process purchase invoices, you can skip ahead to the bank fees section. But I would definitely recommend, if you are new to QuickBooks and new to business, watching all of this will only add more value to not only the decisions you make, but how you run your QuickBooks. So getting started, you are a brand new business owner, you are brand new to QuickBooks, and you've made your first sale. Yes. Okay, there's 2 different ways that we can raise a sales invoice. We can either go to the sales tab, or my favorite way to do it, which it feels a bit quicker, is to click the new option. So this is where you're saying to QuickBooks, I want to do something. It splits it into customers, suppliers, employees, and other, which again, I just love. I feel like it's set out in a really intuitive way, and I love it. So I've clicked new, and I'm gonna invoice a customer. Again, QuickBooks knows that I'm a new business owner. It knows that I haven't clicked on these because I'm using a demo company, and so it's giving me nudges in the right direction to just draw my attention to all of the great little things that QuickBooks can do to make your life so much easier. So the first thing that we're going to do is invoice a customer. My customer is called Testy McTesterson. I then have the option to input all of the customer information if I want to treat QuickBooks like my customer and supplier Bible, which I would definitely recommend that you do. However, for now, I'm just going to fly through this and only put in what I must. So we've got a customer. His name is Testy McTesterson. I'm going to invoice him for some services. Let's say I did some content creation, one YouTube video. And I'm going to charge him £500 for that YouTube video. Again, for now, we are ignoring VAT. And so I've just told QuickBooks what service it was that I sold, a description of what I'm selling, the quantity of what I sold, and how much I charged him. The opportunities that we have with QuickBooks in terms of sending out sales invoices are literally endless. There are so many customizable opportunities, uploading your invoice, really making the invoice look and feel like your brand. There's also opportunities to link and connect direct payment options so that people can click through your invoice to get that all connected. Today, I'm focusing on the top 80% of QuickBooks, and so I'm not going to get stuck into customizing things or payment options, but it's really important that you do know that those services are available to you, and they can decrease the time you spend on credit control, increase your brand awareness, and increase your customer retention. I've told QuickBooks who I'm invoicing, what I'm invoicing for. I've put net 30-day payment terms. Obviously, the way that you run your business might be slightly different. There's a drop down here to help you understand different ways that you can invoice. You can put the invoice date, the due date, and I'm going to click save and send. This bit I absolutely love in QuickBooks. It gives you an opportunity to customize the email that goes out if you know this person personally, or if it's your first or last invoice to them. You can just make it really lovely. And again, it just gives you an opportunity to check things over, review it. You can also copy yourself into the email, so you can set up within QuickBooks to be emailed every copy of an invoice that goes out. If obviously you have very high volumes of invoices, you're probably not going to want to do that. But again, if you're a consultancy business, or if each invoice prompts another sort of action within your business, either starting a project or creating some content, for example, using those options can be a really great way to feed QuickBooks into the rest of your business. So I'm going to click send and close. So we've told QuickBooks that we've made a sale. Now it's time to tell QuickBooks that we have received an invoice. Again, if you simply go out and spend money on your company card through expenses, and expenses are something that you incur at the time that you spend the money. Bills and invoices from suppliers are things that you would post on QuickBooks, is that if there is a difference between when the invoice is raised and when you have to pay it. And so we use QuickBooks to keep track of how much money we're going to have to spend and how much money we owe to other businesses. And so I'm going to just start by adding a bill. So let's say I have got an accountant called Andrew, and the invoice says that I owe him money in 30 days. The invoice is dated the 1st of September. I'm just a bit slow with posting my invoices. So we've been invoiced by our accountant for £500, and I am telling QuickBooks that we owe him money, but we don't owe him money yet. And so I'm telling QuickBooks he invoiced me on the 1st of September. It's not due until the 1st of October. I'm going to save it and close it. And then you can see here that QuickBooks has recorded that transaction as an expense because we've been invoiced. But then it will also tell me that I need to pay that invoice on the 1st of October. Next up, I'm going to show you how to add an expense. And again, an expense is something that happens where you pay for it and receive the good or service at the time. So subsistence is a really great example, traveling, train tickets, all of those things where you would actually spend the money on your company card. So again, we're going to go to new and we're going to hit expense. So I'm just going to use a train ticket as an example. I can also tell QuickBooks here which bank account I actually spent the money from. So if you do have multiple bank accounts set up on QuickBooks, it is super easy to sort of nudge QuickBooks in the right direction and tell QuickBooks exactly what is happening. So I'm going to say that I spent the money yesterday, I've traveled yesterday, and I've come to QuickBooks to enter it today. I paid with it via card, I got a receipt number. I'm telling QuickBooks that it was travel. I'm saying train ticket to meeting on the 21st of September. I'm going to say it was £22. We're ignoring VAT for a sec, and I'm going to click save and close. So in less than 5 minutes, we've told QuickBooks that we've made some money. Whoop, whoop. We've been invoiced by our accountant, and we have processed an expense. So you can see how we're building layers and just telling QuickBooks this is what's happening within my business. So by processing sales invoices, by processing purchase invoices and expenses, we're telling QuickBooks about things that have happened in the past. But now we need to go to our bank reconciliation screen and make sure that QuickBooks is actually completely up to date. So we're going to go to the banking tab. So software like QuickBooks uses bank feeds to connect your business bank account directly into the software. It really is fantastic. The speed at which the transactions pull through always blows my brain, and it just makes life so much easier. So if you imagine your bank account, your business bank account is connected into QuickBooks. Everything that happens over there automatically happens over here, and it's our job to just check that what QuickBooks is suggesting is right, and also to tell QuickBooks what those transactions were. As you move through the bank reconciliation process, you will see very quickly that QuickBooks uses the information that you give it to learn and remember and improve the experience that you have every single time. So you generally only have to tell QuickBooks something once or twice to get it to learn and remember that's how it should treat a transaction every single time. So if I use the example that I used earlier, I spend money at a train station, I tell QuickBooks that's a travel expense, this is the description and this is where I want to code it. Next time you spend money at the same place, it will suggest, hey, last time you coded this here, would you like me to do that again? And we just say yes. So let's just run through some examples so I can show you exactly how this works. You'll see here how easy it is to have multiple bank connections within QuickBooks. Maybe you've got a credit card account and a current account like this one. You might have a current account and a PayPal account. There is no limit to the amount of bank accounts that you can connect into QuickBooks, and so it really, really is this simple. So just reconciling our current account, straight away I can see some green. We like green. So green on the bank feed is where QuickBooks is learning and remembering and suggesting things. So this is where we can see on the 12th of May, somebody has transferred some money into the bank account. And QuickBooks is saying, hey, somebody called Jordan transferred you some money on the 12th of May with the reference invoice 1012. And I can see that you have invoiced somebody called Jordan with the reference 1012 for the same amount. Do you just want me to allocate them against each other? So if you're happy, you can click match. And if actually that's not quite right and you just need to do something else, you can click find other matches. But this is spot on, and so I'm just gonna click match. You'll see here that QuickBooks actually tells you how many transactions you've got left to process. And so I would really encourage you, if you're a small business owner, especially if you're a small business owner who doesn't love reconciling their bank account, to gamify this as much as possible. Set yourself challenges. Tell yourself that for every 10 transactions that you reconcile, you're allowed another digestive. I would really encourage it. It makes it quite fun, and it encourages you to just stay focused and get this done. So we're one down now, we're down to 11. I've got another one, very, very similar situation. We've got somebody called Adwin. They've transferred us money and there's an open balance with the same reference number, and so I'm just gonna say yes. Again, we've got another green popping up, and that's where we've paid Andrew previously, and previously we've told QuickBooks this was for an IT support center, and we coded it to business licenses and permits. So QuickBooks is saying, hey, last time you did this, would you like to do the same again? I'm just checking the categories that it's been posted to, and I'm gonna click add. Now, this with no green is far more likely for you to see when you first start using QuickBooks, because QuickBooks has to learn and remember, and it can only learn and remember when you tell it what to do. So it's very common when you first connect your bank account into QuickBooks, QuickBooks won't have a huge understanding of what's happening. It is no problem at all. The more we do, the more it learns and the more it remembers. So let's just take one as an example, and because at first glance this screen might look a little bit overwhelming, but I'm just going to break it down for you. It is super, super easy. So with each transaction, and we're just taking this as an example, the bank feed has pulled in and said that it's something to do with parking, and it was £41. And so it's our job to tell QuickBooks the answer to 3 questions. We just need to answer who, what, and why. So with the who, we just need to tell QuickBooks who we are paying. This is parking, and so I'm going to put it down as an NCP car park. We've answered the who. We now need to tell QuickBooks what it was. And so under category, we need to find the most appropriate category. And so in this case, I'm going to code it to travel. We then need to answer the final question, which is why. So as accountants, it's our job at the end of the year to analyze all of the information that you coded and categorized throughout the year. The best thing that you can do to help your future self and your accountant is to use the memo tab as much as possible to just give some narrative about what it was that you're doing, why you were doing it that way, and just as much information as possible about this transaction. I'm just writing parking for client meeting, city centre, 3 hours. Just as much as you can give is absolutely fantastic. If we were talking about a transaction that was higher in value than this, anything over £100, I would really encourage you to give even more detail. So if you're paying a subscription for 12 months all in one go, put the dates that that subscription relates to. That's really helpful for us. If you're buying a piece of equipment that costs more than £100, just give us as much information as possible so that we can categorize it correctly within your accounts. But doing this, I promise, will stop your accountant asking you loads of questions, because if we came back in 12 months' time after your year end and said, hey, you spent some money, you spent £41 on the 7th of May 2022, what was that for? We're gonna hear some crickets, because I promise you will not remember. And so we've answered the 3 key questions within QuickBooks. Again, we're not looking at VAT for now. And so I've answered who, NCP car park, what, travel expense, and why. We're using the memo box to put as much information in as possible, and we're gonna click add. And so the key things you need to remember within your bank feed are, firstly, when QuickBooks is suggesting that you do things and they're marked in green, just review them, make sure they're applicable, and we click OK or match. And if QuickBooks is not suggesting anything, we just need to answer 3 key questions: who, what, and why. The next thing I'm going to show you as a small business owner is the mileage tab. The mileage tab really is fantastic. I would definitely encourage you to download the QuickBooks app to track mileage on your phone. It's amazing. I'm just going to skip it for now to show you exactly how this works. So as a business owner, especially depending on what sort of business you run, how many meetings you're having with clients, and how much travel you actually do on behalf of the business, understanding your mileage and using QuickBooks as you go throughout the year to record this information is a game changer. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is to add a trip. So let's say yesterday, with the parking that I spent at the train station, let's say I had to drive to and from the train station and I parked my car there. So I'm just going to put the date as yesterday. I'm going to say it was a 12-mile trip. You can add a start point, you can add an end point, you can say whether it was business or personal. This was business, it was for meeting with a client, it was in my car, and that was a round trip, and I'm gonna click save. So as you can see, QuickBooks is learning and remembering what I'm doing. You can see in really, really clear terms, not only how much you're spending in fuel, but also the frequency of journeys. And this can help you to make really key decisions in the future about your business. So we've gone through sales invoices, purchase invoices, expenses, the bank reconciliation, the mileage tab. And so now I'm going to teach you how you can use the data that you've put into QuickBooks to run some reports. So reporting really is where QuickBooks comes to life. And so I'm going to kick off with an age receivables report, which is how you can see how much your customers owe you at any given time. Disclaimer with all of the reporting in QuickBooks, the reports in QuickBooks are dependent on what you've told QuickBooks. So again, if we're imagining a process within QuickBooks, it is to post your sales invoices, post your purchase invoices, process your expenses, do your bank reconciliation, process your mileage, and then run reports in that order. If you run reports at the beginning of your sort of day-to-day accounting and bookkeeping, or you're doing a financial MOT, the reports will be out of date and won't include information that you haven't told QuickBooks. So the age receivables report is telling you who owes you money. The invoice that we raised earlier today for £500 to Testy McTesterson is already there. We know it's a current sales invoice. He doesn't owe us any money. We are all good. However, we've got 2 separate customers who owe us money, and they've owed us money over 91 days. And so for me as a business owner, if my bank is looking low, but I've got £31,000 in invoices owed to me, I just need to do some credit control. I can either email them a statement straight from QuickBooks, I can ping them an email straight from QuickBooks, or I can just give them a call. So this is what the age receivable report is and exactly how to use it. Next up, I'm going to show you a profit and loss. So the profit and loss report takes all of the information that you've entered into QuickBooks and translates it into an overview. The layout of this report is something I just want to touch on super quickly. So we have an income section, which is where when you're coding sales invoices and you're telling QuickBooks this was for services or products or sales or markup, you can customize QuickBooks as much as you want. And so if you run a business with multiple revenue streams, you can code them when they go into QuickBooks so that when you run reports like this, you have very clear oversight into exactly what this report looks like. So the top of the page is breaking down total sales of £60,000, but this is where that came from. I absolutely love that. Again, it can help you make really key decisions in your business. Next up, we've got cost of sales, and cost of sales is how much you had to spend in order to generate that revenue. And so we see the cost of sales increase when sales increase. Next up, we've got our overheads. So those are expenses that the business incurs that don't directly relate to the sales, but they do relate to the running of the business. So things like insurance policies, expenses, subscriptions, licenses, all of those things get categorized. The number at the bottom is your net income or your profit or your loss. So we take your income, we deduct cost of sales, and then we deduct overheads, and the difference between those numbers is your profit. If you'd like to learn how to use that profit figure to plan and save for tax, which is my top tip for small business owners, you can check out this video, which is all about how to plan and save for tax. We run a profit and loss, we look at how much we've made. It's really important to plan and save for tax. That is the profit and loss. And finally, I'm going to move on to the balance sheet. So your balance sheet as a business owner really is the holy grail. The profit and loss shows us what's happening in that year, in that financial year, whereas the balance sheet shows us things that might last over 12 months. So assets, bank accounts, people that owe you money. If it is going to span over a year end, it's in the balance sheet, whereas if it relates to this financial year, we're looking in the profit and loss. And so the balance sheet, all of the reporting periods are completely customizable. You can compare periods last year to this year, or the last 2 years to this year. QuickBooks really can show you whatever information you are looking for. So again, as a business owner, the balance sheet is just telling me my financial position long term, whereas the profit and loss tells you what's happening in this financial year. Again, now as a business owner, I have done a financial MOT. I've processed my sales invoices, I've processed my purchase invoices, I've posted my expenses, I've reconciled my bank, I've recorded my mileage, and I've run some reports to see where my business is at. I can now come back to my dashboard and know that everything is completely up to date. Okay, so that is my whistle-stop tour of how to cover 80% of QuickBooks in less than half an hour. QuickBooks, using accounting software, having an accountant, and feeling in control of the finance side of your business really can change your business. I would love to know in the comments if you found this helpful. Let me know your favorite bit. So for me, it's always going to be that dashboard. As always, the best way to support my channel and create more content is to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the notifications bell so you get a notification every time I release a juicy video just like this one. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I hope to see you again very soon.